Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines we got for you here. FTX is in the news. SEC and retirement accounts for crypto. We got crypto Super Bowl ads banned. MasterCard CEO. We got the U.S. government we got to look at here. Bank of England. We talked about the launching of the digital pound project, and we need to discuss that. Is the XRP-Ledger involved? We're going to take a hard look at it. And we're going to hear from the one and only Quincy Jones, brilliant developer. XDC XRP-Ledger is going to lay it down how it all comes together. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter for exclusive content. If you've ever been wondering how XRP, XLM, XDC, Algorand, and tokens like that are going to work together, today's the day you leave here knowing exactly how. It is a market cap of $1.13 trillion, ladies and gentlemen, for cryptocurrency. The market is up by 1.2%. Bitcoin, 23,100 plus. Ethereum, 1,600 plus. Tether market cap, they say, is 68.2 billion. And XRP is 40 cents right now. We're going to keep an eye on it. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this. It's Uphold. It's Dr. Martin Heisboik right here. He says I'm excited. We are the only multi-asset platform that is always guaranteed 100% plus reserved, with assets and liabilities publicly displayed in real time from day one. No dodgy proof of reserves, no expired audits. How about that? Come on in, Uphold. Click the link underneath. Tezos just became a tier 3 asset, ladies and gentlemen, which means you can get it directly on and off of Tezos. How about that? Stake in H-bar, up to 30 assets you can stake. I'm telling you, check them out. Click the link below. This here from Eleanor Tarrant, shout out to her, says SBF FTX and his lawyers have filed an appeal to Judge Kaplan's order to reveal the identities of the two unidentified people who helped secure his bail package. Why are they working so diligently to cover it all up? Now the SEC's putting its boot in a different place. They're warning that retirement accounts, crypto stakes, may be unregistered securities. There's more fear-mongering going on by the SEC here, pounding the ground. And it gets worse because then we see this as well announced. Crypto commercials banned from Super Bowl ads this year. And I tell you, all of this feels just like suppression because they're going to come in and run this market. You watch what'll happen. Who's they? The legacy players, right? The legacy firms that have been watching for over a decade, all their clients and customers go buy this crypto stuff that they can't sell. Well, that day is soon to change. New York Post says initially reported the crypto commercials are banned from appearing from Super Bowl ads following FTX collapse. Concern over the now disgraced crypto firm that arrests of its founder have left the biggest game of the year steering clear of crypto. Mark Evans, executive vice president of ad sales for Fox Sports, told the Associated Press. There's zero representation in that category at all in this year's Super Bowl. Moreover, stating that several crypto companies have made efforts with FTX's downfall, quickly disintegrating those opportunities. And let me just say and add to this if I could. The irony of this is if the regulators from the CFTC, if the regulators from the SEC had not turned a blind eye to the second largest Democratic donor, they would have caught the fact that FTX was an absolute disaster, but they didn't. And one can only assume that donor money gave them such short-sighted vision. Shout out to Bob Ross right here from Sologenic and Quorium. Big things coming in that way is what they're saying here. Airdrops, people. That's what I'm hearing about. Shout out to Bob Ross and the whole team over there. MasterCard CEO is saying, I think we're going to have a world where everything will be tokenized and will be passed around in a safe fashion. Well, guess what? I think so too. But in the interim, they're going to ban crypto ads. They're going to scare people from retirement accounts with crypto in them because they want to control it all. That's right. That's exactly what they want to do. Here's a clip here, and I'm not going to play the clip, and this is actually, I think it's a little older. It's not really new. I saw this from a while ago. But it is the U.S. discussing the concerns of China's CBDCs and basically a new payment system and way to update SWIFT and make it more efficient. And I think we all know that what Ripple has been doing with the development of RippleNet, the Ripple Liquidity Hub, and on-demand liquidity can certainly serve to complement and help make SWIFT a better, more viable product than it has been, and certainly more secure and scalable. We'll see. This is Russell Brand right here, and he lays it down and tells you exactly the way we've been saying it forever on this channel. Shout out to Russell Brand. His channel's amazing. Look, he's going to lay it down. It's all about being scared of crypto from the government and central bank level because they lose relevance, power, and control if they do.
If you're so worried about it, don't fucking invest in it. The thing is with cryptocurrency, and what we need to protect you from, is that we can't currently regulate it and therefore predict its behavior and therefore accurately know when and how we should invest in it and therefore increase our own profits. You can see that would be a problem for us. We've got to protect you. We've got to protect you from us ever being poor and therefore beholden to you for money. And that would mean, I guess, we'd have to do what you wanted instead of what we wanted. And you can see why we'd want to protect you from that. If you're so worried.
Yeah, that's it. And then here we have this, the actual taking steps of doing exactly that. Bank of England has launched a project for central bank digital currencies, and they propose a 10,000 to 20,000 holding limit per person for its digital pound. Take a quick listen.
If we introduced a digital pound, we think we would need to set a limit for how much people could hold. This would give us the time to understand the impact that it might have on the financial system and help us ensure it wouldn't cause disruption. Once we better understand this and how people use it, we would review this limit. We've not yet decided what the limit would be, but it would be high enough for day-to-day spending, so you would receive all sorts of payments, such as your salary, without worrying.
And there you have the beginnings of that. Now, then there's this article here, because we know that Ripple has had a deep relationship with the Bank of England since 2015, 2017, somewhere in that time frame. It's been a long time. Many years. Most people will get that reference if you're old enough to. However, we don't have a guarantee that that is in fact the case, but what we do have here is really a highlight of the work that was done in the original pilot from the Bank of England, which suggests cross-border synchronization, a joint project with Ripple demonstrating that synchronized FX transactions in two different simulated RTGS systems can be achieved, leading to the incorporation of synchronization functionality into the roadmap for renewal. That's what we know, right? Bill Morgan says it even more clearly here that there is a lot of good news out of this, but if we look into it, what you find is exactly what we highlighted. The footnote shows that that information was based on the 2017 proof of concept pilot by Ripple, which we were aware of. But obviously, Ripple is on the digital pound foundation. So these relationships have become deeper and more emboldened. Exactly in what way? We're still not quite sure. Take a listen. Bill Morgan also says here that on a deeper dive, however, I did find a diagram on RTGS model. Bank's June 2019 background guide proposed RTGS functionality synchronization. I wonder who the bank conceived would be the private synchronization operator in this model of the BOE, as you can see here. And there's the RTGS system there, right? We know that also that Ripple is on the Faster Payments Council as well, right? These are all things to note, right? And then we know here in another 2019 report update on synchronization engagement, the bank stated it heard from 60 firms of some who wanted to become the synchronization operators. The report listed firms in Annex, and one of them was in fact Ripple. None of this, however, proves anything. I'm just tracing the dots to see what can be connected. And that's exactly right. Now, obviously, the speculation is that will the XRP ledger or a private ledger off of the XRP ledger tie into a side chain, however it works, for this synchronization? We don't know, but I'm speculating there's a great chance that it could do so. But that is speculation, not financial advice. Here is Quincy Jones. Brilliant developer, young man. I've been privileged and honored enough to have him on this show once or twice, I think it was. Shout out to Quincy. He is going to lay down here how XDC, algorithm, XRP, and XLM work together as a complement and not in competition. And then I'm going to take you to a section where he says that absolutely Bitcoin cannot scale. And there's real problems there. Take a listen. Shout out to Thanks Reborn 13 for this as well.
Firm settlements on chain. So what does that mean? Well, that means if somebody wanted to pay you, so if I was running on Corda and I would primarily had most of my money in XDC, right? And someone wanted to pay me in XRP, I can accept the XRP payment through a smart contract on Corda through the Corda settlement, have the XRP get routed to an XRP address that I may have, be able to maintain, execute a smart contract native to the Corda blockchain from a payment on the XRP blockchain, while still being able to retain the payment personally and execute settlement for them so they know that the payment went through, I got it, the smart contract was executed, everything's good. And this goes for not just XRP, but this can go for Ethereum, this can go for essentially any other coin that you're willing to accept. But the reason why this is important is Corda and XRP already have a relationship when it comes to the Corda settler, when it comes to XRP being the main settlement token, because what ends up happening is you use XDC on Corda to execute the smart contracts, or any other smart contract platform. You'll use Algorand on Algorand, you'll use Ethereum on the Ethereum blockchain to execute those smart contracts, while you'll use the settlement tokens to do the absolute settlement from blockchain to blockchain. So you wouldn't have to worry about settling your value on, if I'm on Ethereum and you're on Algorand, we wouldn't be worried about that because we're doing business needs on our respective platforms. We would just do the settlement token and a liquidity token, the bank liquidity token being XRP, and the private liquidity token being XLM.
Now, you have just hit the nail on the head with the relationship also where XLM comes in. So XLM, XRP, they're both the liquidity tokens. And then you have XDC and Algorand, which are smart contract platforms or going to be used more. Now, when it comes to the progression of the space, because the way in which I see things is they are obviously manipulating the news in which they provide us in a way which makes it seem they're still so far behind. Yet they've been building on this technology for years and years and years. And there's obviously a lot of people like you who have been in the space and have been developing the software and doing the work essentially behind the scenes, which is allowing for this technology to thrive. So in your kind of perspective, how far along the timeline are we in terms of the mass adoption here by banks and institutions? And are they essentially delaying it because they're not ready, or is the technology not fully implemented in the way it should? What's your view on that?
I think the big thing that you're referencing, and big thing that I've noticed is basically the accumulation of everything when it comes to big blockchain adoption, and when it comes to like kind of the daily digital currency adoption sort of event, you could say, is the Fed now and the CBDC push and adoption. And like you said, this has been I've actually gone through a lot of the bank literature to see like what's up with a lot of this. And they've been talking about a lot of these programs since 2004, but really seriously since like 2013. Yeah. And they actually had a plan. The Federal Reserve had a plan to launch this digital currency system in 2020, but then COVID happened, I guess. So we're now on hiatus or whatever. But there definitely is. It's nothing. It's not even to really get like too too speculative about it, there is a plan to move to the FedNow payment system, which is basically going to operate the domestic ISO payments between all the domestic remittances within banks. You can look up all this stuff. It's quite interesting. They got it on the Federal Reserve website.
Yeah.
So and that's the thing. You may be going, well, so what's with CBDCs and what's with the FedNow system? And it's so silly because it's kind of like it's kind of one of the biggest things that's right out there in the open. But Ripple is on one of the currency boards when it comes to the Federal Reserve, and they're the only blockchain company when it comes to that currency board. And I'll actually send you some documents when it comes to that too.
Amazing.
And they're not the only ones. JP Morgan's tried to put out a coin. Hyperledger Frameworks try to put out. But XRP is not the only one when it comes to decentralized ledger technologies to put their hat in the ring when it comes to what technology should be adopted. And this is where Corda comes into play too, because Corda and Hyperledger Framework are the two primary smart contract platforms that the central banks are planning on using when it comes to instituting the smart contract platforms to run the banking system for the native CBDCs. And this is important because, well, where does everything fall into play when it comes to the CBDC's release, the FedNow system, Ripple's involvement, R3's involvement, and a lot of this comes down to, I think a lot of it just, it's sort of like finance, banking, technical terms people don't care about. Because you can find documents on Forbes talking about R3, and R3's and I'm pretty sure you know this, is one of the primary companies that works on the Corda platform with XDC.
Yeah.
R3 partnering with the NASDAQ, MasterCard, partnering with a series of different banks, Microsoft, Intel, and all these crazy partnerships. Same thing with Ripple, as everybody that's probably listening already can list off all the Ripple partnerships here.
Absolutely. But let me take you now. This whole interview is great. And again, shout out to both of these gentlemen for sitting down and discussing. But let me take you here where he expands on this, and then you get a deeper understanding of the problems with Bitcoin in its current state to scale.
Definitely do your research on Corda, because you can see so much adoption, primarily in Singapore, but all over the central banks when it comes to instituting smart contracts and contracts. And I might even go over into that later in the video. But you can institute cryptographically signed contracts on the Corda platform, allowing you to institute legally binding contracts on a digital decentralized ledger platform, while being able to maintain the privacy of the people that engage in the contract, maintain the data for the contract, while everybody on the network gets consensus that the contract did happen.
Wow, that is fascinating. It just shows how much this technology will actually allow for a revolutionized system. And where I kind of want to go with this next is, obviously BTC has been at the forefront. It's been like the blockchain poster boy for the past 10 years now. And do you see essentially it rendered useless in this new system, or do you see as a developer that there's still a place for technology as such, obviously being allowed for with the potential regulatory clarity which could be on the horizon? Do you see that the technology now is past its day, or does it still have a place and a role to play?
Listen,
I think you sort of hit the nail on the noggin, because I'm about to make a world-shattering claim about Bitcoin. I'm dead serious, and people need to clip this. People need to talk about this, because I need somebody smart to help me figure out the math problem to really show people the scaling problem of this. But basically, the general gist of it is Bitcoin can't scale past 10% of the global population, because it would cost more power to generate than there is power on the planet to run the Bitcoin network. Wow. And because of the exponential scaling problem of the power consumption of Bitcoin, it will hit a brick wall where it comes down to either you're going to have the electrical infrastructure run the Bitcoin network, or it's going to run everything else, because it's not going to be able to run both, because it's an exponential scaling problem. And you can see the problem play out now. Less than 0.01% of the global population even talks about Bitcoin or even owns Bitcoin, yet it literally consumes a little less than 1% of the global energy consumption. If you scale that up, and it scales exponentially, a little less than 1% of the global use case using Bitcoin would end up being around a little under 8% of the total amount of energy that the entire world would produce. And if it went up to, so if you had the entire 10%, if you had 10% of the entire global population use Bitcoin, it would cost over 50% of all the energy outputted by the entire planet to run that 10% or to run that the Bitcoin network for that 10% of the population that's using it.
That is remarkable right there. Shout out to Quincy Jones and Reborn13 there for all that information, that great conversation. Shout out to ProCoin News. Give them a follow as well. Look, not financial advice from me or anyone else, but this is a great way to find out how XRP, XLM can serve as liquidity tokens. I believe ultimately as a stable coin between those networks and complement those smart contract systems like XDC and ALGO as discussed here. Just remarkable. Thank you to those gentlemen. Thank you to all of you that tune in. Not financial advice.